I was 6 months pregnant when we were attacked. To save Michael, I threw myself in front of him and took the knife, but as a result, I lost the baby and my ability to become a mother. He knelt down with bloodshot eyes, promising that he would love me forever and didn't need a child. Until one day, I overheard a conversation between him and his friends. With an inheritance as big as Michael's family has, there's gotta be a child to take it over. I just feel disgusted now whenever I see that scar on her belly. You're really gonna let her raise that kid after the divorce and pretend it's adopted? My hand froze midair as I was about to push open the door to the private room. Michael's voice was low and full of helplessness. I'm my parents' only son. I can't let the family line end with me. Once the baby's born, I'll bring it back and let Vivian raise it. Then I'll just tell her it's a rescued orphan or something. Someone else chimed in, laughing, you never should have promised to marry her in the first place. A rich wife who can't have kids. Isn't that just pathetic? Exactly. You let love cloud your judgment. Regretting it now, aren't you? Someone asked curiously, aren't you afraid Vivian might find out one day and blow up on you? Michael was silent for a moment, then said, she's infertile. Who else would want her after me? My face turned pale. My body trembled uncontrollably. My heart ached like someone had stabbed it multiple times. So that's what he really thought all along. He was so sure I couldn't have children. He thought even if the truth came out, I'd settle for less because he believed that once I left him, I'd never find anyone better. That's why he dared to lie to me so blatantly. The man I had once risked my life to protect, was this really him? Michael and I met in college. Not long after, he began pursuing me fervently. At first, I wasn't interested in some rich heir. I thought all rich families were full of schemes and games. But slowly, I was moved by his sincerity. People in our circle used to say I must have had amazing tactics to win over the seemingly holy and untouchable prince of the Michael family. He was crazy about me, ready to do anything, crash into any wall, never looking back. Just because I didn't like the smell of smoke, he quit smoking. At parties, he wouldn't even let others smoke near me. To refuse a blind date arranged by his family, he knelt down and was beaten with a rattan stick by his father until he was covered in welts and burning with a fever for days, yet he never gave in. To get his parents to accept me, he gave up on his dream of becoming a doctor and promised that if they let him marry me, he'd go back and take over the family business. Before that, no matter what his parents did, they couldn't convince him. They had even prepared for the possibility of having no heir. In the end, they gave in. Who would have thought that less than 10 years later, Michael would change? He began lying to me. My so-called love turned into nothing more than a cruel joke. Back home, I stood by the window, looking at the soft moonlight spilling onto the ground outside. Soon, the bedroom door opened quietly. Michael saw the silhouette by the window, paused for a second, then turned on the light. Why are you still up? He walked over and gently hugged me, acting sweetly, as if he weren't the man who had said those awful things earlier. Babe, next time I'm home late, you don't have to wait up. You'll tire yourself out. I didn't respond. I just stood there stiffly, silent. How ridiculous. He was lying to me behind my back while pretending to care. I really wanted to cut open his heart to see what it was made of. My eyes burned with unshed tears. Just before they could fall, he let go of me. He walked to the bed, took off his watch and phone, placed them on the nightstand, then opened the closet to grab some sleepwear and headed to the bathroom. A tear rolled down my cheek. I quickly wiped it away with my hand. Moments later, his phone lit up with a message. I hesitated for a second before picking it up. I had never looked at his phone before, because I trusted him. But it was because I trusted him too much that he thought I was stupid and would never suspect anything. The password was my birthday. I gently tapped the screen and unlocked it. Right away, a new WeChat message popped up. The profile picture was an anime girl, no name saved. The message read, "Michael, I'm going for a prenatal checkup tomorrow. Can you come with me?" There was even a cute emoji. I bet you're excited to see the baby too, right? My hand trembled slightly as I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I marked the message as unread and put the phone back. When Michael came out from the bathroom, he even went to the kitchen to heat up a glass of milk for me, urging me to drink it so I could sleep better. I casually said, "Your phone just dinged." He glanced at it with a straight face and said indifferently, "Just spam. Don't worry about it." Then he hugged me again, trying to sleep. I resisted. Just then, his phone rang loudly. He let go of me, annoyed. Seeing the caller ID on the screen, his expression changed. He quickly got out of bed, stepped onto the balcony, and answered the call. After a while, he came back looking serious. He rushed to the closet and started changing clothes. Then he walked over and gently explained, "Honey, there's an issue with a project. I need to go take care of it." I remained silent, glancing at the clock. It was already 11 p.m. What kind of project is so urgent that you have to deal with it in the middle of the night? He forced a helpless smile. No choice. I've got to work hard to support you. You go to bed first, I'll be back soon. I wanted to see something different in his eyes. But unfortunately, I was disappointed again. I pulled the corners of my mouth into a faint smile and softly said, "Go ahead." He patted my head, told me to sleep early, then turned and left. He probably didn't realize his phone didn't have good soundproofing. In the quiet of the night, even from the balcony, I could faintly hear the voice coming from the other end of the call. A girl's coquettish voice. Watching his fading figure, I got up, grabbed a coat and car keys, and drove after him. Maybe he was in such a hurry that he didn't notice me following. The destination was a villa in the city. I sat in the car, watching as Michael rushed in without even turning off the engine, hurriedly walked to the door, and entered after expertly punching in the passcode. From the second floor of the villa, I could see silhouettes and even hear voices from inside. The girl ran up to him excitedly and threw her arms around him. In a sweet voice, she said, "Michael, you're here. My stomach was hurting a little just now, so I called you." Michael looked her over anxiously and said, "I'll take you to the hospital." "No need. I feel fine now that you're here. I think the baby just missed his daddy." She giggled and placed his hand gently on her belly. "Michael, don't you want to feel him?" Though he tried to appear calm, his trembling fingers and cautious touch betrayed his excitement. If I weren't the one being betrayed, if I were just a bystander, I would have thought this scene was beautiful. Two soon-to-be parents, overwhelmed with anticipation and joy. I just stood there, frozen, watching from below for a long, long time. Even though it was already summer, I felt a bone-deep chill rise from within, stabbing my skin like ice needles, making me shiver. It took a long time before I calmed down and turned to leave. That moment was probably when I completely gave up on him. He had turned me into a colossal joke, and I had lost everything. Everything had been premeditated. I should have realized it earlier. From the moment he started avoiding me, unwilling to touch me. Whenever he got aroused, the moment my clothes came off and his hand brushed against the scar on my abdomen, his body would stiffen, and the desire in his eyes would vanish. Moments later, he would sigh and gently hug me, whispering, "Let's just sleep." That scar, left because I saved his life. At the time, he was ambushed by people hired by a business rival. It was just the two of us. We were outnumbered. He was being attacked from all sides, and I saw a blade about to pierce his heart. My mind went blank. Without a second thought, I threw myself in front of him. I had only one thought: I can't let him get hurt. I completely forgot I was over 6 months pregnant. The child couldn't be saved. The injury damaged my uterus. I might never be able to conceive again. When I heard the news, I broke down in grief, fainting several times. I had been eagerly looking forward to that child. Not knowing if it would be a boy or a girl, I had bought 2 sets of baby items, one for each. But in the end, to make a woman lose her chance at motherhood, what a devastating blow that is. I refused to eat or drink for days. I sank into depression. Michael looked at me with pained eyes and hoarse voice, promising, "Honey, I'll find the best doctors to treat you. Even if we never have a child, I'll still love you the same." He took me all over, seeking out specialists. I took countless medications, endured countless injections, but it was all in vain. Eventually, I accepted the truth. And I stopped forcing it. At night, he would always hold me. When his hand touched the scar, he would cry from guilt, swearing, "I will never let you down in this lifetime." When Michael returned home, it was already 4 a.m. I was still sitting in the same position as when I came back, curled up on the sofa, staring blankly at the moonlight outside. He opened the door softly. Seeing me sitting there, pale and lifeless, he was startled. He rushed to me, face full of concern. "Honey, why are you sitting here? Why didn't you go to bed?" I said nothing, just stared blankly at him. He thought I was angry that he left me behind to go handle work. "Honey, I really did have something urgent to deal with. See, I came back as soon as it was done." My reaction scared him. He couldn't understand what had changed since he left. "Honey," he stepped forward, trying to hug me. I could still smell the scent of gardenia perfume on him. It made my stomach churn with nausea. I pulled away silently. Suppressing the emotions within me, I spoke calmly, "Michael, do you want a child?" He froze, his expression unnatural. "Honey, why are you bringing that up out of nowhere?" My infertility had become the unspoken wound between us. Ever since the accident, we had both avoided the topic. But now, I came right out with it, "I know everything." I stared at him and repeated his words back to him, one sentence at a time. "I can't spend the rest of my life with a woman who can't have kids. The Michael family has a huge estate, it needs an heir. I've spoiled Vivian for 10 years. That should be enough to make up for it." The blood drained from his face, turning it pale in an instant. He grabbed my hand, trying to explain. "It's not like that, let me explain," I interrupted him. "The woman you're seeing outside is pregnant. You just went to meet her, didn't you?" I looked him in the eye and spoke slowly. "Michael, let's get a divorce. It's my bad luck, I can't have children. Now, I'll let you and your new family be." His face showed panic, his tone softening. "Wife, don't say things in anger, I don't want to hear it." Michael didn't agree to the divorce, but I couldn't bear to stay under the same roof with him anymore. I packed my things and moved into the small apartment I had bought before our marriage. He tried to win me back, sending roses to my desk without fail every day. He thought that after such a big event, I'd just pretend nothing had happened and reconcile with him as if everything was fine. It wasn't until I placed the divorce papers in front of him that he became angry. "Vivian, even if you're throwing a tantrum, there should be a limit. I've been so humble in trying to appease you. What more do you want? Besides, if you divorce me, you can't have children. Who will want you after that?" He finally let slip what was on his mind. He was so certain that I couldn't have children, that he dared to talk down to me like that, trying to force me to back down. I looked at him calmly, with no emotion. "You don't need to worry about that." He laughed in anger, grabbed the divorce papers, scribbled his name, and threw them at me. "Don't regret it." After saying this, he stormed out. After I got the divorce certificate, my best friend, worried that I might be upset, organized a night out to cheer me up. After drinking cup after cup of alcohol, my senses started to blur. My friend tugged at my sleeve and nodded toward the opposite side. "Why is Ethan here? When did he come back from abroad? Vivian, do you know? He called me a while ago, and I accidentally mentioned your divorce to him. Maybe he came back just for you?" Through my blurry vision, I followed her gaze. In the dim light, a man in a white shirt, with a tall, lean figure and impeccably pressed black trousers, was walking toward us. Ethan. From a young age, I had never gotten along with him. Well, at least that's what I thought. He was my father's student, exceptionally gifted, always taking first place in every exam without breaking a sweat. My dad often compared me to him, and over time, I began to resent him and play pranks on him, though he never seemed to care. When Michael and I got married, Ethan didn't even attend my wedding, he left the country instead. I wobbled as I stood up, and before I could fall, a long, slender hand quickly caught me. I looked up to see his handsome face getting closer. With slurred words, I muttered, "Ethan, did you come here to watch me make a fool of myself?" After the divorce, many people had taken the opportunity to mock me. His clear, handsome brows furrowed, but he didn't say a word. I waved my hand, irritated. "Say something, will you?" He held me firmly and said to my friend, "I'll take her home." He gently picked me up and carried me away. Once at my place, he carefully laid me on the bed, stroked my head, and sighed with a frown. "Vivian, can't you see anything except for him?" Then he covered me with a blanket, and was about to leave when I instinctively grabbed the hem of his shirt. My eyes half opened, and his alluring face loomed closer. In a daze, I reached out and kissed him, the warmth of his lips spreading on mine. His body stiffened for a moment, but then he responded, turning the situation around, and kissed me back. I wasn't feeling well lately, nauseous and tired. I thought it was probably a stomach issue. My best friend, worried, insisted that I go get a checkup at the hospital. While waiting for the test results, she went to the bathroom, and that's when I noticed Michael standing not far away with a group of sharply dressed men. When he spotted me, his eyes filled with pride, and he walked toward me confidently. "Vivian, you swore you wouldn't regret it. It's been only 2 months and now you're already regretting it? I just arrived for a business trip and you're chasing me down. I thought you could hold out a bit longer. If you apologize and admit your mistake, I might consider forgiving you." His tone was as self-centered and narcissistic as ever. I coldly turned around, but just then the doctor came out of the office, smiling as he handed me the test results. "Congratulations, you're pregnant." Those words hit me like a thunderclap. I froze, unable to react. Michael's eyes were wide with disbelief and shock. He grabbed the doctor, his eyes red, and stammered in disbelief. "Is this true?" The doctor looked at him, speechless. "The report is right here, how could it be fake?" My hand trembled as I held the report, and I finally looked at the results. 4 weeks pregnant. I stood there, frozen, my mind unable to grasp what I had just read. I felt like I was walking on cotton. After hearing the doctor's confirmation, Michael couldn't contain his excitement and rushed over to embrace me. "Vivian, you're pregnant. This is amazing, we're finally having a child." I frowned, my face expressionless, and pushed him away. "The child isn't yours." He froze for a moment, then burst into laughter, his tone filled with confidence. "Vivian, what nonsense are you talking? We just got divorced, and if the child isn't mine, then whose could it be? I know you're still angry with me, but now that we finally have a child, don't be so petty. Let's go back and remarry, all right?" I looked at him and found his words particularly laughable. The arrival of this child had certainly taken me by surprise. I once thought I could never get pregnant. But now, seeing Michael's smug face, I felt a twisted sense of satisfaction. I held up the report and handed it to him, coldly shattering his delusions. "Michael, you know we're already divorced. Take a good look. It says I'm 4 weeks pregnant, and we've been divorced for 2 months. The baby is only 1 month old. Do you really think it's yours?" His smile froze, his eyes locked onto the report, and then he angrily tore it into pieces, shouting in rage. "This is impossible. It must be a mistake. You love me so much. How could you be with another man? The test results must be wrong, right?" He gripped my arm tightly, his eyes filled with desperation, hoping to find the answer he wanted in my eyes. "You're only saying this because of what happened before, right? You're just trying to upset me, aren't you?" I wrenched my arm away from his tight grasp and looked at him with mocking eyes. "The report is right there in black and white. Surely, Michael, you don't have bad eyesight? I suggest you get an eye checkup." He shouted in madness, then angrily pulled the doctor over and ordered, "Recheck her. It must be a mistake." The doctor, intimidated by his status, dared not speak up. He could only explain softly, "Michael, both the blood test and ultrasound were done. This lady is indeed 1 month pregnant." Upon hearing this, Michael completely lost control. He grabbed my hand, furiously demanding, "Who is that man? Who is the one you're seeing? You dare to betray me? Speak up." Looking at the fury in his red eyes and his enraged expression, I felt an immense sense of satisfaction. Had he been waiting for me to back down, to make excuses, and to protect him? I struggled free from his grip, my tone calm as I looked at him. "We've already divorced. You just need to know that the child isn't yours. You don't deserve to know anything more." Michael's face turned terrifyingly dark, his emotions swirling beneath the surface, his aura intimidating. Just as I thought he might lash out at me, my best friend rushed out of the bathroom and immediately stood in front of me to protect me. After hearing the situation, she sneered. "You scumbag. How dare you show your face in front of Vivian?" Then, she gave him a contemptuous glance and looked him up and down with disdain. "You always complained about Vivian not being able to have children, but look at this. Just 2 months after the divorce, she's pregnant. Turns out, it wasn't her, but you, who couldn't do it." The last words dragged on, emphasizing every syllable. "I suggest you check if the child inside your mistress's belly is yours, so you won't end up being cuckolded and raising someone else's son." The air froze in an instant. It felt like no one dared to breathe, the tension was palpable. Michael, who probably had never been humiliated like this before, turned as pale as a ghost, his posture drooping like a defeated rooster. I didn't pay him any more attention. I grabbed my best friend and headed out of the hospital. Once we were in the car, I couldn't hold it in any longer and started crying in my best friend's arms. She kept comforting me. "Did that scumbag bully you again? Should I go teach him a lesson?" As she spoke, she started to open the door, but I stopped her, wiping my tears as I shook my head. "Hayes, I'm pregnant. I'm finally going to have my own child. I had once thought I would never have the chance to be a mother. But now, after everything that had happened, this unexpected miracle." Looking back, it was a bittersweet feeling. It felt as if the heavens had played a cruel joke on me. I was once looked down upon for being infertile, and now, after the divorce, I was pregnant. But no matter what, the arrival of the child was a gift from heaven, and I would protect it with all my heart. However, as for the child's father, I thought of Ethan. But no, I won't tell him. After all, being a single mother wasn't the worst thing. After a failed marriage, I wasn't ready to jump into another relationship just yet. Since finding out I was pregnant, I had become the center of attention and protection. My best friend even stopped running her business to focus on me, constantly changing up what she made me eat. She was even more concerned than I was, and within a week, I had gained a few pounds. It was basically eat, sleep, and repeat. What surprised me, though, was that Ethan came looking for me. One day, as I was leisurely sunbathing, I felt a shadow suddenly loom over me. I opened my eyes in irritation, but when I saw Ethan standing in front of me, my expression instantly changed. Without thinking, I asked, "What are you doing here?" He looked at me with a half-smile, his gaze playful. "Do you really need to ask?" He took another step closer, his heavy breath laced with alcohol brushing against my skin. Without thinking, I instinctively pushed against his chest, leaning back slightly. My voice trembled with an unspeakable sense of grievance. "Vivian, you slept with me and then ran away? Are you really going to turn your back on me like this? Do you have any idea how long I've been searching for you? You wouldn't answer my calls, you blocked me on WeChat, look at you now. My heart skipped a beat and I stuttered, that time was an accident. He looked at me with a pained expression. An accident? So that means I don't have to take responsibility? What was he even saying? Responsibility? Was he serious? He was a grown man, and he was acting like this? Seeing my stunned and speechless expression, he spoke slowly, if the teacher finds out, what do you think will happen? My face turned pale instantly. He was actually using my father to threaten me. If my father knew that his proud student had been treated like this, he would probably kick me out of the house. I forced a smile, trying to calm myself down. Okay, I was wrong. Let's talk about this calmly. Please don't bring up my parents. After that, Ethan openly moved into the apartment across from mine. After finishing his work, he would often drag me around to different places, just like when we were kids. He called it building our relationship. I went along with it, thinking that as a big boss, he couldn't possibly stay here for long. As for Michael, my best friend loved to joke about him. She told me that he had become emotionally unstable and his mother was forcing him to go on blind dates again. Apparently, she had only agreed to let him be with me because she couldn't go against her son, but now that he had the chance to make a new choice, there was no way he'd settle for a woman who was pregnant and unpresentable. She tried to offer the other woman money to go away, but the woman wasn't interested. Why would she leave money behind when marrying into Michael's family would bring endless wealth and luxury? The woman began flaunting her pregnancy, calling herself Mrs. Fu to show off. She even openly taunted Michael's blind date, which eventually led to an argument. The woman lost the baby. My best friend told me all this, mocking it as instant karma. I just smiled and didn't respond. I was already beginning to move on. His life now had nothing to do with me. One day, my best friend quietly asked me if Ethan was the father of the child in my belly. I didn't deny it, but I asked her not to tell him. She was confused. Why not? You're pregnant and he cares about you. I hesitated for a second before answering, I don't know how to tell him. And what if he only wants me for a while and then tries to take the baby from me once he finds out? Just as I finished speaking, a sound came from the door. I turned around and saw Ethan walking toward me, his face pale with anger. Vivian, you really are something else. You didn't tell me about something as important as the child. We've known each other for almost 30 years. Am I really not worth your trust? Do you think I'm just some idle person who spends every day doing nothing but sitting around with you, looking at flowers and playing in the water? I opened my mouth, trying to explain, no. That's not it. I just. Seeing the look of hurt on his face, I began to panic. I reached out to grab his hand, but he pulled away. He looked at me with disappointment. As you wish. And just like that, Ethan walked out. He would never come back again. A full week passed, and though he hadn't stayed long, his presence was everywhere. I sat quietly on a lounge chair, tightly clutching the little bear he had given me when he first came to find me. I stared at the view outside, my mind wandering far away. A little girl appeared in front of me. Sister, you have this little bear too? She tilted her head, eyeing the bear curiously. I've seen these bears online. The ears have a switch, and you can design audio according to the owner's needs. It's meant to express love to someone special. I snapped back to reality and instinctively reached for the bear's ear. I really did feel a switch. I accidentally pressed it, and after a moment, a deep, magnetic voice filled the air. Vivian, I wasn't at your wedding when you married Michael because I was afraid. I knew that when I saw you in a wedding dress walking towards someone else, I wouldn't be able to stop myself from rushing forward and taking you away. I knew you first, but in the end, you were with him. But I respect your choice. I thought as long as you were happy, even if the person making you happy wasn't me, I'd be willing to silently bless you. When I found out you were divorced, I rushed back to the country without hesitation. I saw how upset and heartbroken you were, so I foolishly went up to Michael and gave him a piece of my mind. But he called me a coward. I used to like you but didn't have the courage to tell you. I guess that was pretty cowardly of me. Vivian, I want to be by your side for the rest of my life. Will you give me a chance? Marry me? Let me guard you forever, can you? My body seemed frozen, unable to move. I stood still. Sister, you're crying. Wipe your tears. I touched my face, and my hand was covered in tears. The girl handed me a tissue. I took the tissue and wiped my tears. After a moment, I forced a smile at the girl. Thank you. I thought I was brave, but in reality, I wasn't. After Michael hurt me, I locked my heart away. During the time Ethan stayed with me, I kept telling myself not to fall for him, afraid of facing another emotional disaster. But Michael wasn't Ethan. Ethan never wanted to hurt me, and yet, I still hurt him. I touched my belly and made a decision. I packed my things and headed back. I needed to tell him, the child needed a father, and I needed him too. After leaving the airport, I went straight to the Lusher Group building. After explaining my reason for coming, the receptionist shook her head. I'm sorry, but the CEO has been away these past few days. Disappointment washed over me as I lowered my head. I overheard a conversation. Have you heard? The CEO seems to have gone to France to invite a designer for a wedding dress. He's getting married. Who's the bride? I think it's Emily. They're old classmates. My face turned as white as a sheet, and I felt deflated, like a balloon that had lost all its air. I walked out of the building in a daze. I don't remember how I got home. I collapsed on the sofa, feeling weak. The words kept echoing in my mind, he was getting married. He had told me he'd always loved me, so why did he give up so easily? When my friends heard I was back, they invited me out, but I declined. I just stayed at home, lost in thought. The doorbell rang, and I wiped away the remaining tears as I stood up. When I opened the door, I was shocked to see Michael standing there. He looked terrible, his shirt wrinkled, and his hair in disarray. But I had no energy to deal with him. I just coldly stared at him and began to close the door. Michael quickly blocked the door with his hand. What do you want, Michael? I yelled. He flinched at my anger, his body frozen. He subconsciously let go of the door. He looked at me with bloodshot eyes, his voice weak and apologetic. Vivian, I was wrong before. It's my fault. Chloe is gone. She won't come back. Jade was the woman who had been carrying his child. I only realized after the divorce what I lost. Without you, the child doesn't matter. His expression was full of regret as he continued, I'll accept the child in your belly, too, if you're willing to get back together with me. Before I could respond, an angry voice came from behind. Michael, if you want to be a father to my son, you should ask me, the biological father, if I agree. Ethan, his eyes burning with fury, stepped forward. He pushed Michael aside and wrapped his arms around me, clearly marking his territory. Or maybe you haven't had enough of my punches from last time and want to try again? I instinctively tried to struggle, but he tightened his grip. I glared at him. You're getting married, and yet you come here to cause trouble? Wanting to show off your loyalty to your fiancé? Michael clenched his fists at his sides, glaring at Ethan, refusing to back down. I came to see Vivian, and it has nothing to do with you. Ethan sneered. 7 years ago, you were my defeated opponent. Now, you're just taking advantage of the situation. What gives you the right to speak here? With that, Ethan released me, and in the next second, he punched Michael hard in the face. Michael, of course, didn't just stand there and take it. The two of them fought back fiercely, neither willing to back down. Enough! I shouted in frustration. Take this fight outside. Don't dirty my home. They immediately stopped, both of their faces bruised. Michael reached out to grab me. Vivian. I took a few steps back. Ethan, seeing me retreat, looked ready to fight again, but I stopped him with a single glance. I then spoke coldly, Michael, we're divorced. This is not a trash collection site. Don't come here again. His face turned pale and he took an involuntary step back. His eyes were red, tears welling up. His body trembled. He looked like a stray cat abandoned by its owner, pitiful and vulnerable. Without saying a word, he turned and staggered out of the apartment. After Michael left, I pushed Ethan's hand away forcefully and moved to shut the door. He blocked it with his body. I glared at him, and he pitifully pointed to the bruise on his lip. Vivian, I'm hurt. You deserved it. If you keep blocking the door, I'll call the police. Do you really want to see me get arrested? I gave him a cold, emotionless look. There's nothing to feel sorry about. Your fiancé wouldn't mind. He chuckled softly. You said it yourself. My fiancé wouldn't mind. So, aren't you going to help me with my wound, my fiancé? Who's your fiancé? I asked. I've already asked for the teacher's permission. Are you going to back out now? My body froze, and I stood still, shocked. He continued, I admit, when I heard what you said, I was upset, but there was nothing I could do because I love you. I also went to see the teacher, and he agreed. So, will you give me a chance and accept me? He slowly took out a ring from his pocket, kneeling in front of me. Vivian, will you marry me? I wiped away my tears and held out my right hand. He placed the ring on my finger. When I was 8 months pregnant and staying in the hospital, I unexpectedly saw Michael. He had lost so much weight that I almost didn't recognize him. His eyes were filled with disbelief when he saw my huge belly, but as soon as he noticed my gaze, he quickly looked away and walked off in defeat. I guessed he didn't want me to see him in such a pitiful state. I had heard rumors about him. Chloe, devastated by the loss of their child and being abandoned by Michael, grew resentful. Unable to become a rich wife, she lost control and ran him over with a car. Fortunately, Michael survived, but the accident left him physically impaired. He had to take medication for the rest of his life and, sadly, was no longer able to have children. When my friend told me this, she shook her head. Do you think this is karma? He wanted a child so badly that he cheated and divorced, but now he can never have one. It's like heaven's eye is watching. Perhaps this is how karma works. I lost a child, suffered betrayal, and now, Michael's fate had turned. This was retribution.